prayer center laga Nagalim for Christ itu prayer center Jubilee dhali ase aru itu kinika establish hoise itu laga history najani kena jaile bi nohobo itu bra morom kuri kena olop duk palibo huni dibi kena kui dia ase itu sabse age. In the course of the Naga people's movement for self-determination, every Naga nation has in one way or the other sacrificed and contributed to the movement. Likewise, Lazami village has also played a fair share of responsibilities in tune with the rest of the Naga villages. However, we have not had an opportunity to tell our side of the story to the Naga people until today. Therefore, taking advantage of being the host village and to set the record straight for all ages to come, kindly allow me to divulge some historical events related to Lazami village and contribution made by the Lazami village towards the Naga political movement for self-determination, along with brief history of the UNSETI Prayer Center Chishka Lazami. In recognition and as a reward to the Simi Apuyemi's bulwark in the Naga political movement, the Poboto region, now called Simi Apuyemi region, was accorded separate Ang in addition to the Sema region Ang. Out of the 5 persons who served as Poboto region Ang, 3 persons were from Lazami village, Kakudirali, Tlapu Kakunu, and Inake Kapo. On 18 January 1956, the former NNC General Secretary T. Sakre was murdered, blindfolded by his adversaries at Khali in the Lazami village territory. It is said that upon reaching Lazami village territory, T. Sakre refused to move any further. His perpetrators, seeing his adamants, killed him. 3 days later, the Assam police found his half-buried dead body and for no fault of us, imposed heavy punishment such as brutally tortured the village elders and GBs. The house of Inokakuti Ali, Angpo Buto region, and his son Tlapu Kaknu were razed down to ashes. A fine of rupees 30 per household, totaling to rupees 30,000 was imposed upon Lazami village. 50 feet jungle clearance above and below the road from New Torgonyu to Botsa. Because of heavy fine imposition and year-long punishment of manual labor, the villagers had to undergo severe famine for 3 years. Due to controversy surrounding the murder of T. Sakre, former NNC General Secretary, his own tribesmen developed a hostile attitude towards AZ Pizo that he could not find safe hideout in Angami region for some period. Coupled with the government of India crackdown on NNC activities, many prominent NNC figures such as J.B. Jasogi, NNC Central Executive Member, resigned from NNC FGN to join state politics. Pizo's morale was at its lowest point. During this turbulent period, Tlapu Kakunu escorted Pizo from Garipima and brought him to Simi Apuyemi region. Upon landing in Lazami village, Pizo proclaimed, "Let Sema people be my father and mother for this year." Disgruntled at the crisis within NNC, Pizo saw the opponent of Ino Ivloki Kunu Sema and Kakudirali to whether forsake the Naga national movement or reinvigorate it. On hearing this, Ivlo stood up, showed his private part to Pizo and shouted, "Zapu Pizo, this is why we're called men, and for whether we live or die, we will keep our movement alive, and we will safeguard our land and our people. We will not surrender." Pizo was emboldened at Ivlo's stance and lamented, "Why was I not born to Simi parents?" While hiding in Simi Apuyemi region, AZ Pizo together with Ivloki Kunu, NNC Kilonse, Kakudirali, Angpo Bodo region, and Luzuku of Bayamo village restructured and re-strengthened NNC FGN policies. Not only that he find safe haven, but also the Simi Apuyemi, led by Ivloki Kunu, Kakudirali, and Tishana of Mishilimi village, collected a cash amount of rupees 32,000 through Chalan voluntary donation book and bought Remington typewriter and other stationeries for Pizo to let him continue his work for Naga people. The balance amount of rupees 400 was also handed over to Pizo. Pizo's stays at Lazami village during the crisis served as a turning period in the NNC history as it reignited the spark of the Naga national movement, and throughout his life, he remained grateful to the people of Lazami village for their selfless support and contribution towards the Naga national movement even during the darkest hour. The 32nd session of the NNC-FGN Tatar Hoho was held at Chishka, here at this very place, Lazami village, from 5th to 11th November 1971. According to Biseto Medan, the Chishka session was the longest Tatar Hoho session ever. In his book, My Journey in the Naga Freedom Movement, Biseto Medan went on to state, quote, holding Tatar Hoho in the land of Lazami village at that juncture was a great political gain for the federal government, for it showed that the lower Semas, Pobotu region, did not join the revolutionary group, but stood behind Mr. Isakchi Shisu and Mr. Kuhovi Jimomi and remained firm with the federal government. Amidst the Indian Army operation, the villagers fearlessly supplied rations for the longest session of the Tatar Hoho. That way, the villagers are true national workers. They and the leaders stood with the nation and guarded national government. They saved the nation from the face of complete collapse, unquote. From NNC FGN time to Shillong Accord, and from NNC time, NSN-IM time till date, Lazami village allowed the mainstream, I call it mainstream Naga political groups to establish their camp, training centers and headquarters in our land. The NNC FGN set up as many as 34 camps, while the NSNM set up their camp training centers in 10 different locations. Some of the NNC FGN campsite, training centers, headquarters, and NSN-IM training centers are listed. It is also pertinent to mention that from the inception of NNC time till today, this village has produced prominent Naga national figures. Some names worth mentioning are Ino Ivulo Sema, First Council of Kilonsers, NNC FGN Lota Kilonser 1956, Ino Kakudi Ali, First Angpo Water Region, Ino Tla Pukhakunu, Second Angpo Water Region, Ino Inakekapo, Third Angpo Water Region, Inoli Lovili, Second President Naga Women Federation, Inoli Yoster Kulu, First President NSWON and present member Collective Leadership, Akalu Shodo, PS to AZ Pizo Foreign Secretary, Ino Kivako Pucho Brigadier, NSN GPRN. The arms and ammunition, materials and monetary donation extended by Lazami village towards the Naga political movement is no less insignificant. The detailed list is furnished. Please turn to page 18. Origin of the Nagalim for Christ. Although the Nagalim for Christ slogan is widely used today by churches and political leaders alike, yet there is no clarity about its origin. Therefore, the team of Soviet Committee for the 25th anniversary of the Nagalim for Christ UNSETI Prayer Center sought to find an answer to this confusion, and upon research, it was found that Povoto Range people are the forerunners in propagating the Nagalim for Christ slogan. It is recorded that on 17 July 1947, the village elders, church leaders, and teachers from various villages under Poboto region attended the Nagaland for Christ declaration program at Poboto town, chaired by Mr. G. Shahani of Iranumi village. Initially, the movement kick-started under the banner of Poboto Christian Endeavor, Union for Christ and Church Nagaland, with the word of God from the Gospel of St. John, chapter 1, verse 1 to 5 as their foundation. Fortunately, around this time, AZ Pizo was stationed at Ijuve camp under Iranumi village jurisdiction, so the youth went meet him and was apprised of the emerging movement in the range. Upon their meeting, Pizo told the youth that though in the near future the usage of the nomenclature Nagaland for Christ will be used, however, at this juncture, its usage may invite reprimanding action from the Indian government, and the missionaries in the Naga Hill district may also not take it well. True to the words of AZ Pizo, the Indian Army took repressive action against the Nagaland for Christ proponents. In one such incident, the Indian Army, whilst frisking Ino Yeheze and Ino Kikeshe at Poboto town, found the word Nagaland written in their diary and beaten them black and blue. Proponent of Nagaland for Christ from our region. Initially, Naga political and church leaders entrusted the Naga youth to disseminate the idea of Nagaland for Christ to the masses. Accordingly, the Ao youth during the Ao Christian Endeavor annual convention at Chantonya dated 28 to 30 October 1958, adopted a resolution to declare the year 1959 as the year of Nagaland for Christ movement. And the same agenda was conveyed to the Nagaland Baptist Church Council. Acting on this proposal, the NBCC, during its meeting from 4 to 7 December 1958 at Import, endorsed this resolution and directed all its mission directors, executive secretaries to mobilize and sensitize the churches to adopt this slogan. Following this resolution, the ABAM nominated 4 evangelists to propagate the Nagaland for Christ movement in the Sema region. They nominated our leaders along with their Sema counterparts, kick-started the Nagaland for Christ movement in the Semi region with Reverend Shuhoto Suneto, the then SBAK Aizdo Field Director, as witness. They started their journey on the 6th May 1959 from Aizdo Mission Center and successfully executed their mission from 6 to 17 May in Poboto region. However, their plan to penetrate Po, Zneboto, Sataka, Agnato, and Surhuto was cut short as they were apprehended by the Indian Army at Ngalimi village on 17th May 1959. They were taken to Zula Post on the 19th May and lodged there till 27th May 1959. Throughout their imprisonment, they were handcuffed, tortured, and made to sleep on the ground like a herd of pigs. Persecutions of Nagaland for Christ follower. The Nagaland for Christ slogan, which we are using today, did not come without paying a heavy price. Like any other early Christian missionaries, the Nagaland for Christ proponents also underwent immeasurable persecutions, especially at the hands of Naga army. Some church members started complaining about Nagaland for Christ activities to church leaders and national workers who, at the instigation of public, harassed and abused the Nagaland for Christ followers. For instance, at Wakimi village, members of Baptist Revival who were following Nagaland for Christ activities were severely punished, male members were severely tortured, and women were paraded naked in front of the whole village. In some villages, they were pulled down from pulpit, chased down from church, and threatened by the students' union and youth bodies, while some were even chased out from the village. Establishment of Nagalim for Christ UNSETI Prayer Center, Lazami. Even long before the UNSETI Prayer Center was established in Loksaraki and eventually at Chishka, there used to be Nagaland for Christ prayer group in Wakimi village, hidden divine guidance. For a long period of time, there was a divine revelation telling them that one day, they prayer warriors have to leave behind their families, properties, and move to a chosen place and pray for the Naga nation. But it was a responsibility beyond their capacity to shoulder, as most members were already in advanced age. Hence, they kept on praying to God to spare them from this obligation. However, the Holy Spirit repeatedly told them that if they fail to obey His command, they will face the punishment and that is meant for the Naga nation. The divine revelation for them was to reach UNSETI camp before 2000 AD, but their journey was delayed while looking for an escape road. Finally, hidden to the prophecy, on 28 January 2000, 12 persons from Wakimi village and 11 from Tsapimi village left behind their possessions and their loved ones in their respective villages and journeyed to Loksaraki to establish the Nagaland for Christ Prayer Center at the UNSETI camp. Their journey was an arduous one as there was no motorable road during that time. The message to set up Loksaraki came at Loksaraki under the name and style UNSETI was prophesied through his servant Ino Kefulo Keja, chaplain NNCFJ in 1974. However, its meaning was not known, so they prayed for the meaning of UNSETI, and it was revealed on 13 August 1974 through Inovepi Dozo, chaplain NNCFJ, which means U stands for United or Undivided, N stands for Naga, SE stands for National Workers, and TI stands for Last Camp or the Last Gathering. It is noteworthy that even before moving to UNSETI camp, the Nagaland for Christ prayer warriors used to visit the campsite during special Naga occasions and offer prayers for the Naga national movement. During their stay at UNSETI camp Loksaraki, they encountered untold miseries and hardship. They were subjected to at least 13 trials, imposed by a particular village, besides outlining a series of restrictive rules. Let alone restrictive orders, their camps were also burned down to the ground on two separate occasions. The first incident occurred on 2nd February 2001 when a group of 25 youths set their camps on fire. The second incident took place on 20th March 2001 involving 45 youths who destroyed everything they had except their personal clothes and bedding. While setting fire to their homes, the youth warned them, "Leave our land while we are still here or you will face severe consequences." That way they were forcefully driven out from Loksariki. While escaping persecution by the youth, they chanced upon Sri Nitovisu, the planning convener of today's event, and Captain Kivuko Pucho, now brigadier from Lazami village, who empathized their suffering and extended help. Upon reaching Chishka, they found empty jum huts called Alheki, so they rested there and prayed to God for his direction. Initially, they thought of returning back to their respective villages, but God directed them through prophecy to not leave Chishka Valley. They prayed again and argued how could they stay in the land that does not belong to them. To this, God answered their prayer through Inahakapo of Lazami village, who upon hearing the plight of Nagalim for Christ prayer warriors, visited them and donated his land for them to establish their camp and prayer center. Thus, with the land free from encumbrances donated by Inahokapo, the Nagalim for Christ UNSETI prayer center came to be established here at Chishka Lazami village, where prayer warriors from different places come and pray for the Naga nation and its people. Let us remember that this prayer center could have died premature death if not because of two persons who are in our midst today, Ngukato K.Tsuipu and Reverend Dr. G. Kieto Sema, the two former executive secretary of Sabak Association, who apparently are both from this village. Due to their personal intervention and visionary leadership, the UNSETI Prayer Center, Chishka, was brought under Sabak fold, and because of that, many development activities were undertaken by Sabak Association in this prayer center. Not only that, being under Sabak fold save and protect the member of this prayer center from unnecessary frisking and routine check by Indian Army during an era when peace was fragile. As we celebrate the 25th anniversary of the UNSETI Prayer Center, let us not forget the people who toiled and sacrificed for this prayer center. Let us look back and acknowledge our pioneers and Sabak Association, for without their support and protection, this prayer center would not have come this far. It is imperative to put on record that neither the Lazami Village Council nor the landowner of this prayer center in no way, by fair or foul means, impressed upon UNSETI prayer warriors to shift their prayer center to Chishka Lazami village. Let it be known to all that the Nagalim for Christ Prayer Center was established here at Chishka Lazami village not by the will of men but by God's direction. The Nagalim for Christ UNSETI Prayer Center was originally intended to be set up at UNSETI Camp Loksariki, but due to persecution and forceful evacuation by particular village, the prayer center was shifted and established here at Chishka. Since then, it has been prophesied on several occasions through different God messenger to neither change the nomenclature of UNSETI Prayer Center nor shift out of Chishka Lazami. Hence, in obedience to God's direction and to uphold prophetic revelation, the Nagalim for Christ UNSETI Prayer Center came to be established here at Chishka Lazami. Perhaps it is the divine will that one day Nagas, irrespective of tribes or groups, have to set aside our differences and come together at this God-anointed place to seek forgiveness for our past wrongdoings. Then only true peace, reconciliation, and healing of our land can be achieved. In conclusion, I would like to appraise the Naga national leaders seated on the dais about two things. First, affirmation. Human history is short, so let me prove the intuition of our leaders about an incident that happened 1.5 decades ago. In 2010, an apex body of Simi tribe, the Simi Hoho, imposed ban on Ato Kilonse Th Muiva to not set foot on Simi ancestral land. Despite the call of ban in defiance of our own apex body, the Simi Apimi Poboto Range went ahead and accorded grand welcome to the Otokilonsa. This incident speaks volume of our unflinching support to the NSCN GPRN. Over the years, the Naga political movement has been tested by vested individuals, and splinter groups emerged from within to divide and dilute the movement. Yet history is on our side to prove that the people of Poboto had overcome the tempest and remained steadfast in our national goal. For instance, though the Prime Minister of the dissolved revolutionary government of Nagalim was from Poboto region, an overwhelming majority of cadres remained unmoved and sided with Isak Chishisu and Kuhovi Jimobi. In the subsequent split also, the Shillong Accord, the NSCN formation, the NSNU formation, etc., our people were unmoved and remained solid rock support with the NSCN GPRN. Our unflinching support to the NSCN GPRN is not out of fear or favor, but rather due to national ideology and national goal upholded by the organization for which Isak Chishisu and our forefathers, Ivulo, Kakudirali, Tlapu, Inake, etc. had lived and died for, vis-a-vis integration of Naga inhabited areas across the border, preservation of our Naga identity through flag and Yezabo, and solution based on uniqueness of the Naga people. Therefore, with strong conviction, we would like to affirm that under no circumstances we will let any self-vested individuals and splinter groups hijack the Naga people's aspiration or dismantle the Naga house which our forefathers so laboriously erected. Number 2, an appeal. As already stated above, Poboto was the only region to be accorded special ang, and it functioned like a union territory during the NNCFGN time. This administrative setup discontinued after the breakdown of NNCFGN. After the Shillong Accord was signed, our former allegiance and loyalty shifted to the NSCN GPRN, and the region continues to be the backbone and stronghold of the NSCN GPRN. Therefore, considering our unique history and our unflinching support, it is put on record an appeal to the NSCN GPRN authority to reinstate our former status that we may continue our ancestral legacy and uphold the Naga political movement like ever before. Kuk Nalim. Thank you.